Before you spend a dime fixing up your house to sell, watch this video. It could cost you more than you could imagine just from one simple mistake when preparing your home to sell.
Right, because we have seen sellers lose out on tens of thousands of dollars because they did not fix the things that really mattered.
So, how do you know what to fix? What do buyers today really expect? And should you just sell it as is? So, Brett, what do you typically tell our seller clients when you meet with them and they ask you this question?
The buyers are not wanting a project. They want something ready to move into because the buyer's expectations has really changed because the only one that's really looking for a fixer upper is an investor right now. So because the buyers are not, really wanting or even have the time to, manage, a construction crew or do the work themselves. In fact, we just helped a family here in Flower Mound that were young professionals and working full time. They already had one kid, and their family was growing. And as they were looking through the houses, they're like, "Hey, we just do not want a project house." So they wound up spending more than what they originally were planning to, just to avoid those issues, because they wanted to make sure everything was ready to move into, kind of like a new construction home in a way.
Well, that's the thing is a lot of homes in Flower Mound are about at that 20-year mark,
Mm-hmm.
that 20-year age mark. And so they are kind of the main systems are probably in that place of needing either, some major repair or replacement, like, the AC unit and things like that. So yeah, they didn't want to have to deal with all that.
And even the interior, it's time for a fresh look. So that's what the buyer's expectations are or they're wanting right now.
The biggest mistake that we see Flower Mound homeowners make before they put their home on the market to sell is trying to figure out what to do on their own. The market changes and what buyers want and what they need can change. So if you would like some guidance on knowing exactly what to fix, just click on the link and schedule a strategy call with us. We would love to help you save time, money, and energy in knowing exactly what needs to be done to attract that right buyer to your home.
Now, the second thing that I always share with our clients who are looking to sell is that studies have shown that the buyers will always overestimate about 2 to 3 times of what it costs to do a particular repair. So it can come down to, say, a window that's needing to be replaced. It's a $250 repair, and the buyer will think, okay, well, that's a $1,000 repair. Or it can be, say, some flooring that needs to be redone, and they're thinking in their mind, hey, it's about $20,000, when in actuality, it can be done for $10,000. So what we've seen so many times that the buyer will have a certain number in their head thinking it's going to cost to repair whatever those items are. Now they'll come in and they're going to knock that off the price of the home. So a simple, little window repair, for example, of $250, and now both sides are, negotiating, and we're still stuck on a $250 item. Both sides will dig in, and sometimes it will blow the sale totally up over $250.
Well, and we just actually saw this again. I mean, we see it quite a bit, but with a seller that we had, a young family, and putting up their home for sale, and we saw this happen with the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, because the house was amazing. They did an excellent job with getting prepared and ready to go. However, there were just a few items that when the buyer had the inspection done, they felt like were required or really needed to be repairs. And really, they were kind of nitpicky things, just minor things. They came in, they're asking for all these items to be fixed on the inspection report, plus an additional $5,000 off of the price of the home. Well, as we were able to work through it, basically there's a few GFCIs, which, those need to be done because it's a safety issue. That, and there's also a crack in the tile in the primary bathroom. Well, by the time we got everything settled out, we were able to get everything done for less than half of what the original request was for.
right. They thought, they were going to have the entire bathroom
Mm-hmm.
retiled because of that one tile that had a crack in it. And the sellers had just a professional come in and he said, "Oh no, you can easily just put this stuff in here and you not even see it."
Right.
And so the cost of what that buyer thought, "Oh my gosh, we're going to have this whole bathroom." They were freaked out thinking they're going to have the whole bathroom retiled just because of that one crack.
Mm-hmm.
And it wound up costing it was a minor
Minute,
repair,
yeah.
and it was never even noticed after that. Okay, Brett. So what else do you tell our seller clients that they need to fix?
There are some items that are non-negotiable, it has to be fixed, especially, majority of the buyers are getting a loan. So it has to go through the bank approval process, meaning like the foundation has to be in good working order. The HVAC has to be in good working order along with the plumbing, and then also the roof to be insurable for the new buyer coming through. So if those systems are not working or fixed where they should be, it can really either delay the closing or totally blow the deal up. So here are two items that we see a lot of the times that come in on the repair requests from the buyers from their inspection report. First of all is making sure all the GFCI plugs are working, because that is a safety issue, because you want your electricity to be cut off in a wet area if that needs to be done, so nobody gets electrocuted. The other one is making sure your heating and cooling system is working properly. And all that is generally, it's just having the system serviced before you even put it on the market, making sure it's heating and cooling the way that it needs to be. Because if it's not, sometimes the buyers will have a lot of concern of the system's not working properly. So by having that done up front, or these two items, it can really go a long way. So in some cases, people may not have the funds up front to fix these items. Now, there are some vendors out there that will go ahead and get paid at closing, and what they'll do is just take the money out of the sale of the home and they get paid, and you get your needs met with that.
So if you really want top dollar for your home and to have a quick and easy sale, it's best to try to remove as much resistance as possible up front, because all those small items, when the buyers walk through people's homes, they notice those things. And it could even, deter them from putting an offer in, and you may never know it. Or if they do put an offer in and they get to the option period and have the home inspected, all those little things, pile up to have this long laundry list on the inspection report. And they think, I don't know, like it starts to sometimes give them cold feet, and they start wondering, do I even still want this house?
Yeah, because those inspection reports, generally they're anywhere from 30 to 75 pages long. And, the inspector's job is to nitpick everything. And so therefore it looks like the house is falling apart, when generally a lot of times it's not. It just can be very overwhelming. So when you can remove that resistance, it really helps in a long way to make the transaction go smoother for both buyer and seller. So I would say put yourself in the buyer's shoes when you're walking through your house, when you're looking at, okay, what do I want to fix or need to fix? Because as you put yourself in the buyer's shoes, you're walking through, you're thinking, okay, what would I want repaired, or how would I want this to look in order to really generate a good, solid offer and to feel very comfortable and confident about that offer.
Right. So, if you were buying your home again, what would you feel like need to be repaired or replaced? And because if you decide, oh, I'm just going to overlook that, it's no big deal, or I don't want to do it just because, just understand that you may have some resistance in some stressful times ahead, because that buyer coming in is more than likely going to see that and feel the same way, and they're going to want it replaced or done right before they take ownership of this house. So what about selling as is? When is that a good idea, or is it ever a good idea?
Well, it's really only two different rare occasions that we see this. First is if somebody doesn't have the time or the finances to do it. Like, for example, if they've gotten a job relocation, they're already gone, and they're like, we don't have the bandwidth to do it. Or secondly, if somebody unfortunately has passed away, the family is left dealing with the property and they don't have the time or the finances to do it. So then we'll look at everything, price it accordingly, so that way we can attract the right buyer for it. And sometimes it will be an investor that come in and be able to pay cash. So then you're avoiding a lot of the mortgage hoops as far as property conditions on that, to be able to go ahead and get it closed, and for the family to be able to go ahead and get their money from the closing table.
We've discussed now what needs to be fixed on your home. So if your next step is to know, okay, well, how do I get my home ready to sell after I fix these items? Check out our next video, Preparing Your Home to Sell, 3 Easy Steps, where we will guide you through how to get your home ready to sell, what needs to be done, if anything, without the stress and overwhelm.